You think power is given? In the tribe, power is taken, with blood, with patience, and with silence. The man who sits on the chief's hide didn't ask for permission. He outlasted everyone who did. Level 1. The Dirt. You are nobody's son. That's what they call you. Nobody's son. Because your mother died birthing you, and your father was killed in a raid 3 months before that. You are 6 years old, sleeping on the floor of your uncle's hut, eating last after his own children, wearing what they've outgrown. You are not beaten. You are simply not seen. In a tribe of 400, you rank somewhere below the goats, because at least the goats produce milk. Your uncle is a herder, 40 cattle, which makes him middle status. Not poor, not powerful. He keeps you because the elders told him to, and refusing an elder's word costs more than feeding one extra mouth. But he doesn't teach you. He doesn't name you in introductions. When traders visit and count his household, you are the boy. No lineage, no future, no claim to anything. You learn to be invisible. You learn to listen from the edges of the firelight, where the men don't notice you and speak freely. By 8, you know more about the tribe's politics, who owes cattle to whom, which families are feuding, which elder is losing influence, than boys twice your age. Nobody taught you. Nobody had to. When you have nothing, information is the only currency you can hoard without being caught. Level 2. The Herd. 40 cattle. Alone. In the dark. Your uncle shoves a stick into your hand the morning you turn 10 and says, "Keep the fire burning until dawn. If I lose one head, you lose your bed." The first week, a hyena takes a calf. Your uncle beats you with a leather strap, 3 strikes across the shoulders, and tells you if it happens again, you'll sleep with the dogs permanently. It doesn't happen again. You learn the sounds, the specific grunt a hyena makes when it's circling versus stalking, the way cattle shift their weight when they smell predator, the exact distance a fire's light reaches before the dark swallows it. By 12, you haven't lost a single animal in 2 years. Other herders start asking your uncle how his herd stays whole through the dry season. He takes the credit. You say nothing. But the old herdsman, Kale, 60 years old, half blind, the man who's kept the chief's personal herd alive for 40 years, he notices. He starts walking the night perimeter with you, not talking at first, just walking. Then one night, he sits beside your fire, chews on a grass stalk, and says, "Most boys your age sleep through the hyena call. You don't. That's worth something." Kale teaches you to read the grass, which patches mean water is close beneath the surface, which grazing grounds will hold through drought, when to move the herd north, and when moving north means death. He teaches you to count not just heads, but conditions, weight, gait, breathing, the cloudiness in an animal's eye that means sickness 3 days before it shows. By 14, you manage 60 head alone. Your uncle's 40 plus 20 from a neighboring family who pays your uncle for your labor. The payment goes to your uncle. All of it. You own nothing. But when a neighbor's cow goes lame and they come asking for help, they don't ask for your uncle. They ask for you. Level 3. The Scar. 3 days. No food, no water, 1 sharpened stick. Every boy your age goes through the becoming, alone in the Thornlands, and you either come back dragging something dead, or you come back with nothing, and nobody looks at you the same way again. Most boys kill a hare. Some kill a warthog. The chief's son, last year, killed a young leopard, and the tribe talked about nothing else for a month. You leave at dawn with nothing. The first day, you find water by reading the grass the way Kale taught you, while the other boys dig random holes and come up dry. The second day, you track a boar for 6 hours, patient and silent, and kill it with a single thrust when it stops to drink. The boar weighs more than you do. But on the third morning, dragging the carcass back toward the village, you walk into a raiding party. 5 men from the River Clan, painted for war, on their way to hit the southern herds. They see a boy alone with meat and no real weapon. They don't expect him to fight. You don't win. Let's be clear, a 15-year-old doesn't defeat 5 grown warriors. But you wound one badly enough that he drops his spear, and you scream loud enough that the patrol hears you a half-mile out. The raiders scatter. When the patrol finds you, you're bleeding from a gash across your left cheek that will never fully close, holding a spear that isn't yours, standing over a dead boar and the blood trail of a man twice your size. The elders give you your scar name that night, Kessa, the one who did not run. It's not a chief's name, it's not a warrior's name, it's a survivor's name. But it's yours, and it's the first thing that's ever been yours. Level 4, the spear. 32 young men, spears, shields, and the right to kill on the chief's word. You join the warrior class at 17, the youngest by 2 years, and the only one whose scar came from a man instead of an animal. The warrior captain, Desh, is 26, the chief's nephew, and built like the trunk of a baobab. He tests you immediately. The worst patrols, the longest runs, the night watches nobody wants. You take them without complaint. You've been doing night watches since you were 10. Tired doesn't scare you anymore. In your second season, the River Clan raids again, this time in force. 40 men against your patrol of 8. Desh freezes. For 3 critical seconds, the man who's supposed to give orders stands silent while arrows fly. You don't freeze. You grab 2 men, flank left through the tall grass, and hit the raiders' supply line, their water gourds and dried meat stacked behind a ridge. You set it on fire. The raiders, suddenly realizing their 3-day supply is burning, break formation and retreat to save what they can. Your patrol survives. Desh takes the credit in front of the chief. You say nothing, but the 7 men who were there know. And in a tribe, what 7 warriors know, everyone eventually knows. By 19, patrols request you by name. By 20, you lead your own. 4 men, the southern border, the hardest route. You've never lost a man. The elders notice. Desh notices too, and he doesn't like what he sees growing in your shadow. Level 5, the circle. Nobody remembers the last time it happened. A herder with no bloodline, no father's name, invited to sit at the elder circle. The old men check the oral records and find one precedent. 40 years ago. Different circumstances. Doesn't matter. It's enough. You are not an elder. You're not even 30, the traditional minimum. But the senior elder, a man named Aura who remembers your mother, invokes an old law. Any man who has bled for the tribe and grown its wealth may speak where decisions are made. You've bled. The scar proves it. You've grown wealth. The herds under your guidance have doubled in 4 years, and 3 families now pay for your counsel on grazing routes. Aura argues your case. The circle votes 6-3. You're in. The first month, you sit and listen. The circle is not what you imagined. It's not wisdom and consensus. It's leverage and debt. Old men trading favors, protecting their sons' inheritances, blocking rivals' proposals with procedural objections that have nothing to do with the tribe's good. You recognize the game instantly because you've been watching it from the firelight since you were 8. 2 years in, you've built a quiet coalition. The 3 youngest elders, 2 senior herders, and Kale, whose word still carries weight despite his age. You don't challenge the chief directly. You don't challenge anyone directly. You just become the man people come to. Water disputes, grazing routes, who said what to whom 3 seasons ago. You remember everything. You always have. Level 6, the Exile. Desh gets what he's always wanted. War captain of the entire tribe, appointed by the chief, his uncle. First thing he does with real power? Remember you. 3 months into his command, a raid goes wrong. 12 cattle stolen, 2 warriors wounded. Desh blames your patrol, claims you ignored a signal, left the eastern flank exposed. It's a lie, and both of you know it. But Desh has the chief's ear, and you have no bloodline to protect you. The Elder Circle convenes a judgment. Ora argues for you, but 2 of his allies have been pressured overnight. Their sons need Desh's favor for warrior placement. The vote is 5-4. Guilty of negligence. The punishment? Exile. 1 year beyond the tribal boundary. No cattle. No weapons beyond a knife. No contact. You walk out at dawn with nothing but a water gourd and a blade. You don't look back. Not because you're brave, but because if you look back and see no one watching, it will break something you can't afford to break. The year changes you. You survive. Of course you survive. You've been surviving since you were 6. But you do more than survive. You find the River Clan's territory and, instead of avoiding them, you approach their outer camps as a traitor. You have no goods, but you have information. Grazing routes, water sources, seasonal patterns. You trade knowledge for shelter, then shelter for trust, then trust for something more dangerous. Alliance. By the 10th month, you have something no exile has ever brought back. A relationship with the tribe's oldest enemy that isn't built on blood, but on mutual benefit. Level 7, the Return. You walk back into the village on the 366th day, 1 day past your sentence, so no one can claim you returned early. You are 26, you are thinner, and you are not alone in the way you were before. Within a week, the River Clan sends a delegation, the first in living memory. They want to negotiate shared access to the northern water source, the one that's caused 3 wars in 2 generations. They ask for you by name. Kessa, they say. We will speak only to Kessa. The chief has no choice. Desh has no counter. Ora smiles but says nothing. You mediate the negotiation. 4 days of talks that end with a water-sharing agreement that gives your tribe dry season access they've never had. The herds will survive the next drought. Everyone knows who made it happen. The Elder Circle reinstates you the following week, unanimous, because even Desh's allies can count which direction the wind is blowing. But you don't just return to your seat. You return with something no one in the circle has, an external relationship that the tribe now depends on. Leverage. Real leverage. Not information this time. Infrastructure. At 28, Ora dies in his sleep. His seat passes by consensus to you. At 29, you propose expanding the water agreement to include trade, dried meat for river fish, leather for clay tools. The tribe's material wealth grows by 1/3 in 1 season. At 30, when the chief falls ill and cannot rise from his hide for 3 moons, the circle looks to you for daily decisions. Not Desh, not the chief's son who is 14 and not ready. You. Level 8, the Hide. The chief dies on a cold morning in the dry season. He is 58. He has led the tribe for 22 years. His son is 15, old enough to claim, too young to hold. The Elder Circle convenes within hours. Custom says the chief's bloodline inherits, but custom also says the circle may override if the heir is unfit or the tribe faces crisis. A drought is coming. Everyone can read the sky. The River Clan agreement expires in 6 months and needs renegotiation. 3 families are already hoarding grain. The tribe needs a leader who can hold it together through what's coming, not a boy learning on the job. Desh nominates the chief's son. Of course he does. A boy chief means Desh rules through him. The vote requires 7 of 9. Desh has 3 guaranteed, his loyalists. You have 4, your coalition, built over 6 years of solved disputes and kept promises. The 9th elder, a man named Toruk who has never liked you or Desh, holds the balance. You visit Toruk the night before the vote. You don't offer him anything. You don't threaten. You sit with him by his fire and say, "What does the tribe need tomorrow?" He's silent for a long time. Then he says, "The tribe needs someone who has been hungry. Boys who grow up in the chief's hut don't know what hunger is." The vote is 5 to 4. Toruk votes for you. They lay the chief's hide across the carved stone seat, the same hide that's held every leader for 6 generations, and you sit on it. You are 31 years old. You are nobody's son. You own a name, a scar, and 25 years of listening. 400 people look at you and see a chief. You look at them and see the fire circle from the outside, except now you're at the center of it, and every word you say, someone younger is memorizing from the dark. And somewhere at the edge of the village, a boy sleeps on the floor of a hut that isn't his, eating last, wearing what others have outgrown. Nobody sees him yet, but he's listening.